This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Donald Trump and his lawyers before Judge Chutkan were not listening when she told them at a recent hearing that she took seriously her job as a federal judge to administer justice and set this case against Donald Trump, the criminal case just brought related to the attempted overthrow and coup against America, on a speedy trial track. She let him be known, in fact, she was more inclined, not less inclined, to set this on a very, very fast track for a couple of reasons. One, Donald Trump continues to misbehave and violate conditions of his release. And that was before the recent activity that led to the attacks on not only Judge Chutkin herself, who was on the receiving end of a death threat, a credible death threat by a woman from Texas who phoned into the courthouse just yesterday, out of which she's now been picked up by the FBI and will be prosecuted. But look what's going on down in Georgia. Judge Chutkan can see it. The attacks on Fani Willis, the racist, virulent attacks led by Donald Trump, calling her a rigger. That's not a typo. Your ears aren't deceiving you. He basically used the N-word against the prosecutor, which led to others in his camp doing the same thing, calling her names, saying that they're going to kill her. She's on a hit list. And now it's gotten even further. And again, Judge Chutkan watching it and seeing that the grand jury has been identified and being attacked by Trump and his mob, and Trump's not doing a darn thing to stop it. Now she's got to decide the trial date. The government has come out of the box and said, let's pick a jury in the middle to the end of December of 2024, and let's do a trial in January of 2024. More than enough time. This is, let's just effectively call it September. You've got September, October, November, December, January. That's plenty of time to try this case. What has Donald Trump, in his infinite wisdom, with his lawyers John Lauro and Todd Blanche, come back with? Basically what we said on Legal AF. How about never, Your Honor? Let's do something in late 2025 after the election and 3 months into the new term for whoever's going to be the new president of the United States. So they've thrown down the marker and said, we want to do it in April 2025. That'll get us over the 6 or 7 other criminal and civil cases that we got to deal with for our client, Your Honor. We've got some classified information procedure issues, Your Honor, that could take some time. And why are we in such a rush? Now, look, I got to tell you, they have handed this on a silver platter to Judge Chutkan. I have no doubt that she's going to reject the April 2025 date. I don't think she's going to accept the January 2024 date, but she's not going to split the difference either. I think she's going to do it in probably February or April of 2024 and get her trial up and running. The Speedy Trial Act is not just for the defendant. The public constitutionally has a place at the table. The public, we don't do trials in private. This isn't some sort of, communist country or dictatorship. Not yet, anyway. We don't allow trials to linger or defendants to have a cloud over their head. And Judge Chutkan made it clear, and you didn't even have to read between the lines. She said it in her hearing, that the swift administration of justice needed to be paramount in everybody's mind, and First Amendment rights and the rights of the defendant needed to yield to that. She also said, if you don't stop misbehaving and doing things out loud and acting out and attacking witnesses and attacking jurors, this is before the grand jurors in Georgia got attacked, then I'm going to have to do a faster trial, not a slower trial, because I got to get you to trial. The other reason in the Speedy Trial Act jurisprudence that judges go quickly to a trial in a case is when they're concerned that the defendant, though presumed innocent, will commit other crimes. Who does this sound like? If Tanya Chutkin watching, Judge Chutkan watching, her get attacked, Fani Willis get attacked, the grand jurors get attacked by everybody associated with Donald Trump and Donald Trump himself, and Donald Trump basically using the N-word, you think she's more inclined or less inclined to set this trial on a schedule that's close to the government's? That's a rhetorical question. Look, there's already been a federal judge that's found that the process has to be protected from Donald Trump and his attacks on judges, on jurors, on prosecutors, on their families, right? The E. Jean Carroll civil fraud, sexual battery and rape and defamation case up in New York that got tried in May and he lost Donald Trump. That was before an anonymous jury. That's the first anonymous jury in the history of New York federal practice that didn't involve a criminal case or organized crime or a mobster on the other side. Because the judge cited, and this is now already like 7-8 months ago, the judge cited Donald Trump's frequent attacks on prosecutors, judges, jurors, grand jurors, and the like. So now what is Judge Chutkan going to do? She knows about Judge Kaplan's ruling. She knows what's going on in Georgia in real time. She knows that Donald Trump is sitting idly by and letting Fani Willis and more, even greater, the civilian grand jurors, all they were doing was their civil duty, get attacked violently, viciously, in a racist manner. You think that makes her more inclined or less inclined to let him have a trial of his choosing in April of 2025 so he can run a campaign without having yet another criminal trial to have to deal with? And these are inconsistent positions that Donald Trump's lawyers are even taking within the same issues. They claim in this case, for instance, in their filing, that, oh, Judge, we need a lot more time. First of all, there's a ton of documents. I said on a hot take and on Legal AF, the podcast that I co-anchor, that watch, here's the tell, here's the poker tell. They're going to say that there's so many pages that if you put it end to end, it would stack all the way to the moon, or it would be a 15,000 football fields. You know what they said it would do if you stacked it end to end? The Washington Monument. Why they keep going back to Washington, the scene of the crime, and reminding Judge Chutkan of why they're there, I have no idea. In fact, and I'm not making this up, and watch for the overhead smash by Judge Chutkan right back at them, they actually said, quoting from case law, they picked the case, but listen to the language and listen to the complete lack of irony and understanding by Trump's lawyers in using this language. They said that in order to set the trial, the judge needed to be respectful of the calm spirit of regulated justice and not go forward with the haste of a mob. I mean, could you have picked words that would be counterpunched quicker by a federal judge in a case like this than that? You mean like the angry mob that Donald Trump whipped up and fomented and weaponized and pointed at elected officials at the Capitol? That kind of mob? You mean the regulated, orderly, calm spirit of justice that Donald Trump constantly, every day, every hour undermines by calling, prosecutors and judges degenerates, crackheads, vague, anti-Semitic tropes used against Jack Smith, black racist comments, and the N-word effectively against everybody else. You think the judge is immune to that? Listen, she's a carbon-based human being that resides on planet Earth. She may wear a black robe, but she understands what's going on around the world. And if she didn't, it was brought close to home by somebody that's MAGA right-wing who wants Donald Trump reelected and threatened the judge, called her the N-word, called her a slave, said there was a target on her back, that they were coming for her and they were going to kill her and her family. That was just in the last 36 hours. And now we've got what's going on with the grand jury down in Georgia. And with all of that, the judge sitting up on the bench with Lady Justice behind her, all those that are here are in favor of justice as the slogan. You think she's going to give him another additional year and a half to do mischief? Or is she going to get him quickly to trial because she's afraid that not only maybe he might be a flight risk and he might be interfering with the other cases, but that he's going to commit another crime unless he's brought to justice. And that's going to be the animating factor for this particular judge. I'm going to read you a couple of aspects of their motion, and stop me when you think any of this is credible or reasonable. I mean, the other thing I tried to say earlier in the hot take is that the lawyers for Trump aren't even consistent. Is that surprising? In the positions they're taking in the different criminal cases. In the case down in Mar-a-Lago, which is all about classified documents, all about top secret classified documents and many, many pages, terabytes of information, right? And an elaborate confidential information protected, I'll get it right, CIPA, C-I-P-A. It's a process for confidential information to be properly reviewed in discovery. Those SEPA procedures, the judge there, even one that people think is right-wing MAGA, Judge Cannon, she said, all right, we're going to trial. We'll go to trial in May. We'll go to trial May 2024. This case, the Jan 6 case about the attempted overthrow of our government and the clinging to power in the coup by Donald Trump, that has less SEPA information, confidential, classified information to be reviewed. Less, not more, okay? Most of what we're talking about are emails, tweets, and testimony of people, all right? Very little to do with confidential information that has to be classified and recovered. But that is one of their main hearts of their argument. We need more time. You didn't need more time when you really had a confidential information issue in Mar-a-Lago. So which is it, man? You're taking inconsistent positions in front of the same federal judges or federal judges responsible for the same crimes. And so let me just read to you from their introduction on page 1. The prompt disposition of criminal cases is to be commended and encouraged. We agree with that. But in reaching that result, a defendant charged with a serious crime must not be stripped of his right to have sufficient time to advise his counsel and prepare his defense. And here's the quote that Judge Chutkan, I have no doubt, is going to overhead smash right back in their face. To do that is not to proceed promptly in the calm spirit of regulated justice, but to go forward with the haste of the mob. Why are you reminding the judge about the mob that you lit the fuse of on Jan 6th? And then they have the temerity, the nerve, the balls, the gall to say, this is a very unusual case. This is terra incognito, right? This is earth that we don't even recognize. It's the first time in the history of America that someone's been charged with conspiracy related to the electoral count. Right. That's not something to be proud of. It's because that's the first ex-president we've ever had that participated in a conspiracy or a coup to undermine the electoral count. Why do you want to remind the judge that? Why do you want to use the Washington Monument as the height of the documents and remind the judge what happened just feet from it on Jan 6th? So this whole argument, and they actually put in a graph of what stacked end to end. Boy, I'm good at predicting what it would look like and how many days it would take them. They said it would be the equivalent, Your Honor, of reading War and Peace every day for 78 days straight before we'd be able to get all the discovery analyzed. That's not how discovery works. I've worked in huge discovery cases. You download it, you have a team of people, you have software and a platform to use, and you quickly go through the things that aren't important and you segregate it into hot documents. Could it take a month or so? Maybe. They just don't have enough people. Donald Trump doesn't pay for a big enough team to do the work that's necessary here, and that's not the problem of the federal government. That Donald Trump doesn't want to dip in to his hundreds of millions of dollars of personal assets, and the PAC, the Political Action Committee fundraising can't keep up with the amount of money that's going to be required for all the lawyers on a team. These two guys, Lauro is a member of a 2-person law firm, and so is Todd Blanche. They got 4 people. Okay, that's not enough. You're going to need at least 20 people assigned to this case, which means Donald Trump's going to have to burn through $10 to $15 million a month until this case is tried. And I'm sorry he's going to have to dip into his retirement fund, but he's going to have to. And the judge isn't going to hear about it, that he doesn't have enough money, time, or expenses or desire to put enough people on his case to get through this. Yeah, sure. If you're a one-man band with like a banjo and a pair of cymbals between your knees, yeah, you're not going to be able to get through this workload. But that's not the measure of speedy trial, right? And then they go on to list on page 14 the other cases and the reason why they have numerous conflicts, Your Honor. And let's just walk through them because they do. They say we have a civil case in New York State Court scheduled for trial on October 2nd. That's the New York Attorney General Letitia James's $250 million disgorgement case against Donald Trump and all the kids except for Ivanka. A civil case in the Southern District of New York, that's federal, for a 2-week trial beginning January 15th, 2024. That's E. Jean Carroll, the second defamation and punitive damage case against him before Judge Lewis Kaplan. A criminal case in New York State Court scheduled for 5-week trial March 25 That's before Judge Merchan. That's the Stormy Daniels hush money business record fraud cover-up case. A criminal case in Georgia State Court. Oh, we all know which one that is. The new criminal indictment in Georgia by Fani Willis, for which the state has requested a March 4th, 2024 date. Okay. And a criminal case in the Southern District of Florida, also prosecuted by the special counsel for a 5-week trial beginning May 20th of 2024. That's Judge Cannon's Mar-a-Lago case. And he left out a couple of other civil cases there. So that is their conclusion in arguing that under the proposed schedule they have, which times out with a trial in April of 2025, and to quote them in their conclusion, the proposed schedule is consistent with ordinary order and resolves significant conflicts presented by CIPA, that's the Confidential Information Procedures Act, and other pending prosecutions against our guy. And please adopt our schedule, Your Honor. Love and kisses, Todd Blanche, who's just got admitted into the court, and now they've got all three of the lawyers that work for a firm in Tampa called Lauro and Singer, John Lauro, Greg Singer, and Philza Pavillon, which appears to be the entire amount of people that Donald Trump has bothered to pay or offer to pay to defend his case. We're going to watch what happens next, but I can tell you, based on Judge Chutkan's last week or so hearing, in which she's already told him she is leaning over towards speedy trial, quicker, not slower, because of Donald Trump's conduct. And the more he acts out, the faster she's going to set this trial. And I know she knows the law, that the public has a right to a speedy trial as well in public justice. And that if she has a suspicion or thought process that the public is served by Donald Trump not continuing his crime spree by being out, she can fix that by making him go to trial early. And based on his conduct and what's been going around in Georgia and in Washington, D.C., since the last hearing in front of Judge Chutkan, when they all get together on August 28th for a hearing with John Lauro, Todd Blanche on one side, the government, Tom Windham, and Jack Smith's team on the other, and Judge Chutkan sitting in the middle, I assure you she will be none too pleased. And she will say, I have a date of December. We have a bid ask of December to start and January to begin trial from the government. And then we have an April 2025 date, which I'm going to reject out of hand. I'm not going to split the difference. This is my estimation. I'm going to add a few months on to cover for some of the discovery issues that were raised. And I'm going to pick a date that doesn't conflict with any of the other dates that are listed in the motion by Trump. And therefore, and then fill in the blank. I think it's going to wrap around the March dates for the Stormy Daniels case or Fani Willis's case, whichever one is ready in March. I think she'll throw a dart and say, we're going to do it in February or we're going to do it in April. And that will avoid the trial in May, because once you get past May into November, then you're getting sort of really close to an election cycle. So I think everybody wants to that's where you fall off the cliff. They want to stay away from the summer, right, of 2024 going into the November election. So I think she's going to try hard to keep it on that end of the playing field and not on any other. Like, let's just wait till Donald Trump maybe wins the presidency and then we'll deal with it then, Your Honor. No way, no how. I think Judge Chutkan also recognizes, as do other judges, and I think even Judge Cannon in Florida recognized that the public has the right to know whether Donald Trump is a convicted felon when they go to the polls and not after, and not have second thoughts and not have buyer's remorse when they find out, damn, he did get convicted of all those things by a jury of his peers. And I think that's a factor in the room as well for Judge Chutkan. We're going to follow it right here on Hot Takes, just like this one, in one place, MeidasTouch Network, on a free to subscribe YouTube channel. Also, we cover all of this and more on a Wednesday and Saturday podcast we call Legal AF, co-anchored with me, Ben Meiselas, and Karen Friedman-Agnifilo. You can get it on audio, every platform you get podcasts from, and video also on the YouTube channel for MeidasTouch. If you like what I'm doing, I'm Michael Popok, and you can follow me on all things social media, including Threads, at MS Popok. Until the next hot take, I'm Michael Popok, Legal AF.
Hey, Midas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.